Hey guys, I wanted to jump on here and talk about something that I think a lot of us struggle with. I know it is a big thing for me today, and it is fear. How to deal with fear and how to live through facing fear and still in the midst of it, being able to remain your authentic self, to feel an ease and peace and grace. And I mean, it's something that a lot of us struggle with, including myself. And the more I'm using a microphone here because I got some feedback and I know my sound is a little bit hard to hear sometimes. So today I want to talk about how do we live as our victorious selves, in spite of fear. And what I'm starting to see is that in order to trust, we think that we must win and fight against fears. And we think that we must first master our fears so we can live in trust, but it's actually the other way around. Before we start, welcome again to the dance of evolving. This is truly a dance of evolving, dealing with fear and knowing how to work through fear, because I'm noticing that there's subconscious fear in pretty much everything that we do. So what I want to talk about today is, in spite of our fear, how we can actually live in trust, and how fear can actually affect our lives every day in a real way. So let's talk about how we can overcome that. And I'm in the midst of it right now. So I felt so led to jump on and to share this right away. If we can, in spite of our fear, live in trust simultaneously, only then will fear lose its grasp over you. So I started to think, okay, well, I had this idea. So I'm like, okay, well then how? How do we live a life free from fear? And how do we build that trust, within ourselves? And it's really thinking of how do we change our view as we're thinking in our lives that it is our job to always need to do or control things or figure out the next thing in life that we need to control or that we need to navigate. But really, instead, we need to be part of the flowing and the moving picture of life, because a lot of it, in all reality, is not in our control. So what we're going to focus on here is how to live a life free of guilt, fear, anxiety. And I think about, like, when our life is on the line, when it gets really serious, guys, when we start to get fearful about something that is heavy duty, we create a story in our head and it's detrimental. And it a lot of times it truly is. And our reality is, our fear is our reality. So here it becomes like the Super Bowl of this practice. This is where it is our time to shine and overcome the perception that there is a lot at stake, like that everything is on the brink of failure. And I mean, we can really feel this way. This type of feeling that everything is at stake, that everything's about to fall apart, it will truly keep us blinded from seeing anything clearly. And we're going to be in this need to constantly control everything when we actually have control of nothing. So it's quite exhausting. Our job is to change the story. And to be quite honest, we have nothing to lose in the light of bigger picture. So there's a bigger picture that's so much bigger than us. And knowing this will make the ease and peace actually possible even in the midst of the storm. So that's what we're going to talk about mastering today. The attitude, if we have this, the attitude that regardless of what arises, even if it's the very thing that we're fearing, that everything's going to be okay and that we'll always find a way, it's like this huge weight's lifted. And it's actually the truth. The crazy thing is, it's actually true. There's an unfolding of events in our lives when we surrender and we have these events happen for us and not to us. And we work through these events with the spirit of like peace, strength, and love. It's such a freeing thing. We attribute, like we put such a focus on and so much significance on the thing that we think cannot happen, that we're so worried about and we're so fearful of. And in doing so, our days are like constantly in a fight against life. So it's almost like, we can't even live a full life or a life that's peaceful at all. So for an example, like say you start a relationship and then right away you're like afraid that it's going to end tragically, Or you go on vacation and you're already sad because you're thinking about how it's going to be over. Or you start a new job and you're fearful of getting fired or not making a sale. And then right away, you're not your authentic self. You have that lack of flow. You have that lack of ease, that lack of peace. And that's going to keep you from being in the here and now and experiencing and being part of the unfolding events that are already happening and keeping you the way that you should be as your most magnified, authentic self in that moment. Because life is the unknown. And to be quite honest, that possibility that you're actually fearing or that I'm fearing is one of the possibilities. So embracing that, and as long as you are against life, you're not going to be effective really at anything. And it's almost like you choose to be in the opposite flow of ease and grace and peace. I'm starting to notice this, and it's really, really powerful because it's peaceful to go the other way. As long, like, your job is not to diminish fear or fight fear, but instead you can just embrace the unknown. And this, because then it's like fear can only hook into you and hold a grasp on you if you give it that much meaning. And so, like, of course, none of us want to lose our job or and have our finances fall apart. And, of course, business has taught me a lot about that. You have to pivot and you do, need to respond certain ways, but that's from lessons learned as from the unfolding events. You don't want a relationship to fall apart, but you have to let go of control and then learn lessons from that and go with the flow with the unfolding of events. The older we get, the more responsibilities and the more something like this holds a greater stake and a fear within us. And that's not a bad thing. It actually gives us more of an opportunity to practice this type of faith and trust. So when we live in this type of faith and trust, we have this knowing that everything's going to work out. And like, say, if the sale doesn't come through, or if the relationship doesn't work out, that there's always going to be something that we need to go through to get to the next part. And knowing that something is bigger that is controlling this, and if I just try my best and I'm my authentic self and I go with the flow, that there can be no wrong. And as these events unfold, instead of reacting to them, you respond to them. And you learn the lessons that that we're meant to learn, and you move forward and you continue to grow and give. It's such an amazing process. And I'm in the midst of that right now. Now, our minds we make it seem so much bigger. They're like, oh, I need to make this sale, or we make the biggest magnified details of small issues in life. And the goal really is we need to learn from every event that unfolds so we can grow into who we're meant to be. And the bigger picture is more than just us. We need to stay in the line of love and strength and learn how to, pivot, of course, so then we can still continue to provide finances for our family or move on to the next project or evolve in the dance of who we're supposed to be. The thing is when we let ourselves live in the state of ease and grace, how much better are you able to work and problem solve? And how much clearer are you able to think? And your clarity is heightened. And suddenly the future and the lessons that you're learning and even the hard things that you're going through begin to make more sense in the bigger picture. So I hope this is making sense to you, because I know a lot of us are going through pretty heavy duty things right now, and it can actually be viewed as a gift and something that can be happening for us that we can learn from. Because like when you take away the intense meaning of maybe the position that you're in, that you're so afraid of losing, or the relationship that you're in, or the thing that you're so fearful of losing, that we think is so tragic in our life, and instead we surrender to it. And we know that we're just actually an open space of unfolding events that we can grow and unfold with. Then we can feel at ease, and we're able to go with the flow and respond in a way that is authentic to ourselves. And then suddenly we're going to be able to see these experiences in a different light. We have like this inner knowing, and we can stay true to ourselves in alignment. So next week, the beginning of next week on Tuesday, I'm going to give a part 2 to this. And as I'm working through it, I'm going to be able to give you the here and now of how I'm actually working through some of these fears. But just, as you're watching this, try to shift your lens of instead of this is happening to me, this is happening for me. In the bigger picture, that this is this is happening as an unfolding of event to help me with the next big thing. And don't forget to leave any comments if this is resonating with you. Like and subscribe, and thank you for being part of the dance of evolving with me. Peace.